Hey folks, how y'all doing today? Glad you're able to join me at whatever time of day that you're watching this video, whether it's morning, noon, or evening. My name is Chris, I'm your host, and I appreciate you joining me today. If this is your first time here or to watch one of our videos, please consider liking and subscribing this video once it's completed. Go back and look at some of the other ones too. That'll probably give you some food for thought in regards to possible comments for this or other videos. We welcome those videos and their comments, I should say. Today is not going to be a long video. Really, I'm trying to hammer home a couple of things for several of the folks that have provided comments in the past, either through direct messaging or through videos, and that is in regards to budgeting, spending money, investment, things of those nature. And I just wanted to start out by saying that, as you may recall, if you've watched some of the other videos where we discussed retirement and investment and spending, particularly how no one knows you better than you. And quite honestly, sometimes you may not even know yourself very well. Let's take a possible, windfall of millions of dollars that falls into your lap through whatever means, whether that's you play the lottery or some long lost aunt or uncle or grandfather or whatever passed away and left you a ton of money. Suddenly one morning you woke up and you were a multimillionaire. How would you react to that? Well, I don't think that any of us would know how we would react to that unless it actually occurred, right? I mean, it's like everything else. I mean, unless you're in that particular situation, you don't really know what you would do. You might think you know, but yeah, who knows, right? You might want to quit your job in that particular situation, or perhaps like some people, that it's best to hold on to the job, use that to keep your health and your happiness, because honestly, we need people around us. We need that human interaction in order to remain somewhat healthy mentally and from an attitude standpoint as well. So those are good things to have. Not necessarily a really horrible 9-to-5 job. I mean, you can certainly change jobs if you wanted to, if you were in that particular type of situation, okay? But let's talk about that for just a moment, because again, we've talked about budgeting to an extent. We've talked about investment to an extent. We've talked about retirement to an extent. A lot of those things interact with one another, and we've talked about that as well here on the Finance and Freedom YouTube channel, and how one interacts with the other one. And certainly budgeting is something that we probably should do. You may not be really good at it, but if you have a budget, or at least something that's on paper in black and white, or blue or red, or whatever color ink you prefer, it gives you a better understanding of where you stand financially, where you may stand from a retirement standpoint and investment standpoint. And those are all things that, again, harken back to the name of this channel, which is Finance and Freedom. They all interact with one another. So let's talk about budgeting. Budgeting is not particularly fun. And I say that because, well, you put things on paper and you see it, with your own eyes, and you go, my goodness, I didn't know I was spending that much money between groceries and car insurance and home insurance and rent or mortgage on your home, things of that nature. Until you see it in black and white, you may not actually know how much you're spending, and that can have a huge impact on your financial future, right? So it is a good thing to budget, and it's a good thing to put things on paper so that you can see the actual numbers. Excuse me. And let's talk about that, because we've stated in the past that no one knows you and your spending habits, etc., better than you do. Um, is a $500,000 enough? For some people, it's more than enough. Is it going to be enough for everybody? No, not everybody. Again, you may spend more than someone else, and someone else may spend more than you do, right? But until you figure that out and go through those numbers, you're just not going to know. So along those same lines, when you look at how much money you're setting aside in savings, how much money you're investing in those mutual funds or ETFs, ETFs, CDs, banknotes, things of those lines, where you can set aside money and you can build your retirement nest egg. You can invest a lot, you can invest a little. I would highly recommend that if you have not started doing that, that you do so. Again, there are a number of mutual fund companies that are great to invest with and through. It can certainly help get you situated for your ultimate retirement, whether you're semi-retired now or whether it's something that you're wanting to do in the future. And it's never too late to start saving and investing for your future. Even if you're in your 50s or 60s and you've never saved anything before in your life, or you've never invested anything before in your life, don't wait. Start soon. Start today. Start tomorrow. Start doing the research and then putting one foot in front of the other, right? A long journey is started with the first step. So take that first step and start doing it. Now, in regards to that, let's think about Social Security. And a lot of people say, well, I'm going to take Social Security as soon as I possibly can. If you're a U.S. citizen and you've paid into the Social Security system and you're eligible to draw that at whatever age, various scenarios and age as well are driving factors when you can take it, and ultimately how much you get, okay? If you take it as soon as you're able, then that locks you into a certain amount of money for the remainder of your life. So looking at the average Social Security right now, as of, about 2 years ago is the last figures that I found. It ranged from about $1,720 to $1,845 per month. Now, that's age 62 to age 66 and some change based on your retirement age, okay? That's not a lot of money. It will help pay the bills. It will help put food on the table. It's not necessarily going to pay a lot towards medical expenses if you have them. And if you're at that age, you're probably going to have some medical expenses, right? So that's why I say you need to have a plan, and you need to work the plan, not just make a plan, but you need to actually execute it. Execute the plan, whether that's putting money into a CD or a CD ladder, as it's sometimes called, whether you're putting money into an ETF or into a mutual fund. You shouldn't shoot for the moon all in one fell swoop. That's why the S&P 500 indexes, mutual fund indexes, and ETFs are so key and important for a majority of citizens here in the United States, particularly because it meets the average. It does fairly well over a period of time. Are you going to get rich overnight? A year, maybe 3? No, you're not going to get rich, okay? You're not going to put in 100 and take out 10,000 in 6 months. It's just not going to happen, okay? Can you put in 10,000 and let it ride for the rest of your life? Yeah, you can do that. If you've got that kind of money, you can certainly do that, or you can dollar cost average into it at, say, $100 a week or $500 a month, $1,000 a month, something along those lines, and just put it in, reinvest the dividends and capital gains automatically. You can do that when you set up the fund, and just forget that it's even there. Just let it ride. You need to make sure that your relatives know, your relatives being your spouse or perhaps your children, so that if something untoward were to happen to you, meaning you got run over by a bus in the middle of the street, or you died of old age, someone needs to know that you had that money there, because they can benefit from that, whether it's your spouse or your children or those type of family members that you would like for them to have that money in case you were no longer here. So yeah, just write that information down so that they can have it and they can refer to that in the case that they need to. So you see, Social Security alone is not going to do a lot for you. Now, there are folks that have decided that because of that, and because they didn't invest and save for retirement in the past, their best option for them was to perhaps live outside the United States and retire there. A lot of folks, not everybody, but there are quite a number of folks that have moved out of the States for retirement purposes and are living in countries where Social Security alone can be, for the most part, enough to pay for a decent lifestyle. Panama, Mexico, Thailand, Philippines, a lot of countries in the Far East, Southeast Asia, Malaysia perhaps. Areas like that have a lesser cost of living, and folks have discovered that, hey, I can live here pretty cheap compared to living in the United States, in places like Chicago or Los Angeles or Phoenix, Arizona, Atlanta, Georgia, Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, Boston. There are a lot of places around the world where you can live more economically and have a better lifestyle. Okay, are there challenges to doing that? Well, yeah, sure. I mean, if you don't speak the language, that's definitely a challenge. It's not as difficult if you have Google on your phone, because you can always use Google Translator, right? Likewise, other challenges may be learning how to live within the culture. That's a huge thing for many people, because they want to think that they should be able to live like they did in the United States and speak English and go out to the movies at midnight or whatever the case may be. Understand that is not likely to be possible because of the cultural differences. Okay. Now, that being said, does that mean that you can't adapt? No, of course not. You can adapt to those cultural differences, and you may find that those differences are in your frame of mind or in your attitude much nicer than those in the United States that you have been raised within, the culture that you were raised in other words. So there are challenges. Language is probably the biggest one for most people. It's particularly if you're older. It may be difficult if you're not bilingual, or you don't speak Spanish, for instance, or you don't speak Italian or Thai, or those types of languages can be difficult for anybody to learn, but particularly for older individuals, it could be difficult. Now, all that being said, retirement does not have to be expensive in the United States. There are places that you can go and you can move to. Again, the culture may be a slightly bit different. I mean, if you're used to living in an area where the population is huge in numbers, and it's go all the time, and you decide you want to move to an area where It's not as populated. It's not as go, go, go. They kind of roll up the sidewalks at dark, as we used to say when I was a kid. Then you may discover that even there may be some differences that you're just not very keen on, or you're not very appreciative of. But that being said, everybody will still probably speak English. You don't have to work as hard to adapt to living in a different place within the United States as you would if you were trying to move to Thailand. Okay. So anyway, that's going to be all for this video. I just really wanted to talk about those. So I'm not really answering questions as much as perhaps raising new questions. So if you have comments or you have other questions in regards to the video, please, by all means, put them in the comment section below this video. And let's see where we can go from here. Interesting topics are always being sought. I don't want you to feel like I'm beating you about the head and shoulders in regards to retirement and savings and investing and things of those natures. So we're definitely going to branch out to other subjects in regards to finances and how they may impact you. But certainly your comments are always welcome. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. And if you're watching this towards the holiday season, I hope you have a great holiday season as well and enjoy it with family and friends. So we'll talk to you later. Have a good one. Bye.